In my last video, I mentioned what spurred my revisit to the escape room movies, but if you didn't watch that video, it was this blasphemous tweet right here. As someone I consider well-versed in movies, I wanted to better understand what would make this acquaintance of the opinion that Escape Room Tournament of Champions, which I found on first watch laughably bad, was better than Malignant, which I absolutely adored. And I think I have an explanation. And if you're of my position and taste, this could be helpful for you too to understand why some movies others enjoy leave such a bad impression. Now, I'm not going to pretend that Tournament of Champions and Malignant are remotely the same kind of movie, but they are arguably thrillers and do make a good contrast to identify my final point. For those who haven't watched both, Escape Room Tournament of Champions is exactly what it sounds like. It's a sequel in which the survivors of previous deadly escape room trials are brought together to struggle to survive once again. Malignant is a sort of supernatural mystery in which the main character is unknowingly but psychically aligned and dragged into a string of murders by a figure from her past named Gabriel. Tournament of Champions is an easy watch. Its strength lies in being basic and accessible to an audience at large, and catering to those that have a soft spot for real-life escape rooms or fans of the escaping deadly games subgenre. Action is never far off in a scene, so it keeps audiences' attention. That is, if you care about the characters, because I didn't. Malignant, on the other hand, holds a status of controversy. It's very slow burn, and although in the end you can put together all the clues it gives you, it doesn't spoon-feed audiences easy answers and makes you wait for the payoff of the mystery to be solved. That in itself is a deterrent for some people, but if you hear anything about Malignant, you'll also have heard that it is full of camp. Camp, being used in reference to film, means an aesthetic style and sensibility that regards something as appealing because of its bad taste or ironic value. Therefore, Malignant also separated itself from general audiences' consumption and acceptance by playing into camp. I loved Malignant because I watch a lot of horror movies and could appreciate the intention of the director when they'd use dramatic shots as it presents itself as self-aware. But for others, that same technique could come off as silly or just downright stupid. Liking or disliking either movie seems like it's a matter of taste, and certainly it is, as they are so totally different niches. But I found that the explanation I actually had for liking one and not liking the other applied to both, and that's in how they created suspended disbelief in their world. Let's start with Malignant. Malignant opens with a scene of chaos in an institution. Orderlies and doctors are scrambling to contain what we presume is a monster in its room. This monster is murdering people and snapping limbs like it's nothing, but the camera is keeping it out of sight off the screen. The medical people get a hold of the monster, and the monster is communicating through sound waves on a nearby radio, basically threatening to kill them all. We get a twist when we see children's socks strapped into the operation chair, and the scene cuts as a screaming little alien-looking monster goes under dissection. In this first scene, Malignant has entirely set up the tone of the movie we're about to watch. It's beyond the regular physics of our universe in the strength and existence of this creature, and that it uses radios to talk. So as we jump to the seemingly normal main character of the movie, we're pre-established to assume that shit will just continue to get weirder as we continue watching. My illusion of the universe and its construction did not get broken when supernatural things started to happen, as it never strays much farther than the baseline that it sets in the beginning scene. Now, with Tournament of Champions, the opposite happens. There is no extra layer of physics to the escape room films because that would defeat the purpose of being thrilled or horrified by the prospect of having to overcome these deadly rooms in real life. The point of movies like Escape Room are to shock us with the seemingly plausible nature of them, that this could happen. The theatrical cut of Tournament of Champions makes a better point of being vague about the reality of the escape room's construction against everyday society by playing on the absurdity that the games are so big they are inescapable, which works, but the extended cut of Tournament of Champions, which I originally watched, had a completely different ending and ruined my suspended disbelief at the first challenge they faced. Putting aside the fact of physically getting away with these massive immersive environments is possible in the middle of a densely populated city, let alone in a house, the elements of the first challenge threw me out of the stakes of the situation they were facing by being over the top to the point of being completely unbelievable. In the first challenge the contenders face, they are all on a real, functioning subway car with other cars full of civilians in the middle of a city which breaks off into a different route and traps them. The subway car connects to conductors, and they have to solve the escape room's puzzle to get out before they're all electrocuted and die. The premise would have been fine, but the execution ruined the experience of enjoyment and tension for me. The electricity shooting around the subway car near the end of the challenge is so dangerous and out of control, it doesn't feel believable that so many of them lived. It looked like that trap was designed deadly enough to end it right there and then for all of the contestants, and the fact that only one of them died made me, as a viewer, hyper aware of the rules of making a consumer-friendly narrative, and the director's intentions not to do anything for the rest of the movie that I couldn't expect. For example, losing only roughly one player per round so that, you have enough players to keep going. The rooms from that point forward were literally designed for more than one person, so if they had have kiboshed everybody in the first round, then Zoe, or whoever the other main character they decided to put through with her, would have been totally, extremely fucked. And that doesn't make for good entertainment TV. Watching lightning so strong that it's melting away the subway car around them, shoot around the heads of people literally covered in metal jewelry, took me out of my suspended disbelief that this could happen in real life, and that's where the tension and thrill lies in a movie like this. I left the first action scene a bit bored and tired because the suspended disbelief in a movie like Escape Room is its most important asset, and that was gone and I couldn't get it back. In the end, liking a movie like Malignant and not enjoying a movie like Escape Room had surprisingly little to do with the genre of the thrillers, and everything to do with how they handled their pre-established world continuity. I wanted to share this revelation because I thought it was interesting. As much as you think you can objectively say one movie is better than another because of aspect X, Y, and Z, sometimes the rating that we give even has nothing to do with taste and everything to do with the way our brains work, and what's liable to shake us out of believing in the reality of, and therefore enjoying watching a film. It's like how two people of vastly different experiences can and can't relate to a certain character. Like how some people can see Cersei from Game of Thrones as an irredeemable bitch, and I think she's just a complex masterpiece. And in the end, I'm excited for the next time that something like this jars me while watching a film so we can explore the idea of suspended disbelief further. As much as Malignant can be classified as something that is literally batshit crazy, I still found it more believable than Escape Room Tournament of Champions, and that's odd. Let me know in the comments below what's an instance you had of a movie ruined by your suspended disbelief breaking, or a time that your suspended disbelief broke and another viewer with you's didn't. I think it's kind of surreal when that difference of experience plays out when you're with someone watching the same thing, and it's super, super fun.